#1 podcast in the whole entire YouTube wrestling community. And I'm one of your hosts, Juan.
And I'm your other host, Jean-Paul Leek.
And together we are
Rope Break.
Family. It's time to talk about the follow show from Backlash and Monday Night Raw. There was a lot of reports that it was going to be a better show. No, it wasn't.
No.
It wasn't.
But I mean, to be honest, it really wasn't much worse than I was thinking. Now, was this live?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so this was taped. So this might have still been Paul Heyman a little Paul Heyman sprinkled in there.
Yeah.
So now I feel like the real test is next Monday.
Yeah.
We'll see if we have the bullshit like we do on Fridays on Mondays.
We'll see what really happens.
But yeah, I mean, this show I feel like was a transition. It was like half of Paul Heyman's decent Raw, but also half of Bruce Pritchard's shitty SmackDown. So it was just preparing us for next week.
It's preparing for what's to come, and that's not really enjoyable. But the one thing we had is Christian comes out. I mean, Christian comes back, and that was really great. There it is.
It's probably a little blurry, bullshit webcam, but that's all right, Christian.
It's okay, but we're going to talk about all the single show, every single move, every single little thing. So thank you so very much for watching. We have a lot of content. John Paul and I reviewing Backlash, every single match. The greatest match ever. Was it the greatest match ever?
This is the greatest show.
We have also the Spanish version with me, of course, talking to my whole entire Hispanic community. I love you all. And also we have an interview hyping up what's going to happen on Summer Glory for the CCW Coastal Championship Wrestling. We have Lexi Gomez, the Unbreakable. How you doing? And we have Vince Steele and Cha-Cha Charlie, the greatest rivalry in the independent scene. The both of them are going to destroy each other on my birthday, so that's really cool. So I'll be saying, something to the winner, but the other one is probably.
We'll probably say Ada.
We'll say a big Ada. So please check all those videos out, all that info right there. So family, Monday Night Raw opens up with Randy Orton. He's pretty much addressing what happened with Edge. What fabulous match. But like Jean Paul was saying, Edge got injured. He's gonna be 4 to 8 months out because of he turned the tricep. And also they pretty much, I saw another report, Jean Paul, that he's gonna be on the sidelines for the rest of the year. He's they don't want to, Yeah, Edge. Yeah, they
because Randy Orton said he's coming back in July.
July of 2029.
Well, I think he's going to be back July this year. I mean, it's a torn tricep. I really don't know the timetables on those injuries, this and that, so I can't really be oh yeah, so and so had that and they were only out, how many weeks or whatever. I don't know. It's a shame that I had to go down like this, but I mean, hey, you know what? It is what it is. But Randy Orton is so legit. I feel like they were going to continue this Edge feud, but now it's you got to put him against McIntyre.
Yeah,
it's something to do because hey, we didn't have nothing for Randy. I can't imagine you had anything great planned for Drew with what we saw tonight. So that's what I would do with Randy Orton.
Exactly, and because of Randy Orton was telling all these things about Edge. Hey, I hope I can see you in July on 2029. Hopefully we can cross paths, but for now, just stay home with your wife and your 2 daughters. That's all you need to do. I proved who the best man was, and then Christian comes out. So that was really cool for me, Jean Paul. We were all popping. It was really awesome to see Christian, and then he's pretty much saying you're cold, you're calculated, you know what you're doing, You think that you destroyed Edge, but you know that he's going to come back and he's going to be after you. So be ready for that. And it's oh, if you want me to be ready, why don't you and me do something? He's I know you're not cleared to wrestle, but how about we do this as an unsanctioned match? Do you have what it takes yet, Christian? And it's it's another opportunity for you to show me that you're nothing but a coward. Oh God! So that set up the better. Of course, Monday Night Raw up to the first segment sets up for the main event. Yeah, really typical WWE fashion, but in this case, it worked.
Yeah, in this case, it was good because we see Christian, and this is the best feud. This has been the best feud the past probably since WrestleMania. This has been the best feud on television, I would say, Edge and Orton. So, we're continuing it. Like you said, you and I both love Christian, so that's legit. But we just knew it's okay, unsanctioned. How much are they really gonna, do justice to this match?
Yes.
And we knew they weren't.
Yes.
And also one thing with when Randy Orton said he'll wrestle Edge in 2029, that actually will hold true because Randy Orton said he's 40 right now, and he said he wants to wrestle till he's 50.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So he said 10 more years. And also on that, when him and Tommaso Ciampa were going back and forth, it was like heel on Twitter to keep his persona. But in reality, he said that he just said was kind of bashing Ciampa a little bit, but he just, because these NXT guys go so extreme, he's like, their careers will only be half the length as mine
yes, yeah.
because
He
they
did
go
say
so
that.
extreme. And he's like, that's why my matches are slow and there's a pace to them. He's like, these guys wrestle like crazy every night, and in 2 weeks you forget the match that they almost killed themselves in.
Yeah. No, it is
So,
true. That's exactly what he said, and it's kind of true. But I
mhm.
mean, Randy Orton is a different type of like dog. You know, it's a
Oh,
different kind of
what
like,
was the style and what the fans want to see has changed.
yeah. So you know, it's different, but
Yeah.
it has a lot of truth when he says those
Mhm.
kind of things. I
Oh,
think that
definitely.
like he paces himself and now does longevity in his career. You know, so far you
Hmm.
said 40, he still looks legit good, and you know he's been
Yeah.
doing this what for like around
I mean, if Ric Flair
8
could wrestle in his 50s, 60s, Undertaker in his 50s,
I can see Randy Orton
I
doing
don't see
that
how why Randy Orton couldn't do
easy.
it. Like, look at the shape he's in.
Exactly. So now we're going to talk about some guys that like we will hope that they will do the same thing. And it was like Angel Garza was backstage having an interview with Charlie. Of course, they want to keep teasing that idea. So because he was going to have a match with Kevin Owens, and Selena Vega says, "Hey, to you, Garza and Almas, hey, let's get along. You know, let's try that. Our enemy is Owens. It's not you two. So Almas is like, good luck on your match. I hope you don't get disappointed." I think that's what I could understand. But
Oh, Andrade. Oh, yeah, Andrade.
yeah, Andrade said that, and
Yeah.
I'm like, why? Once again, you know, why don't they say these promos in Spanish? I'm like, can you guys understand that? It will look more natural rather than forced. At least for me.
Because and there's always a ways around it. Andrade could have said, "Oh, good luck in your match," blah blah blah, in Spanish, and then the non-speaking Spanish audience might be like, well, "Huh? What did he say?" Garza then could have looked at him and been like, "I don't need luck," in English, and then
Yeah.
oh, he told him, "Oh, good
Yes.
luck," and then he's
Exactly.
there's
Yeah.
ways around it, and it's
There's
like,
ways around it, but like they choose not to do it, Jean Paul. So like Angel Garza and Selena came out, and I really love how like Catalina was like there to like kiss him.
oh, on
You
the
know, Garza goes
plexiglass and
like
stuff,
right
that
here.
was legit.
That was awesome. Like, see, like that's Spanish love right there. Oh,
Uh,
my people are, you know, we
Latino
love each
heat.
other. Yeah, that's legit. That's legit. And you know, like a match with Kevin Owens, a pretty decent match, but like of course the distraction from Andrade because Andrade comes out. See, I like when Andrade has the suit. You know, he looks good. I like
Mhm.
that. So he came to this track, and in the end, Kevin Owens hits like the stunner, 1, 2, 3, and done. But like what happens, Jean Paul, and then I want all your thoughts about this. Is like kind of like they start to go at it again, and Selena is like, "This needs to stop now. You two need to like, come on. We need to reset. We need to go back to being all like in the same page, and this needs to stop." So Selena pretty much left, and then the both of them are so. I don't know what we did. So I need all your thoughts
I
in
think,
this.
I mean, I really don't care about Kevin Owens' involvement in this. Like, I was hot for Kevin Owens at Mania. He won against Rollins. Okay, let's do something with him. They don't do something with him now. I don't care. Now I'm like, okay, Kevin Owens, you're like mid card. You're probably just going to take the United States Championship from Apollo at some point, turn heel. Oh, okay, like we haven't seen you heel as a U.S. champ before. Okay, big whoop. But with this, with Andrade and Almas, or yeah, it's the same guy,
With
Andrade
Garza.
and Garza. Yeah, there we go. It's like I'm invested in. I wish this had the U.S. title on the line. I wish Andrade was still the U.S. champ and him and Garza would feud over it. But I mean, I still like this. I like the stable. It's like, okay, let's get the Latino guys. Let's get them all in a stable. Let's do something with it. Okay, legit. That flopped. They did not do anything with it. They included the Gringo. Like nobody wanted him there. Now he's with Rollins. So it's
He
like,
said it, not me.
it's like, what do we do? It's like, what do you do with these guys? They completely just botched the group, the stable. So now you got to feud them. I mean, it'll be a hell of a match, and hopefully a series of matches if they give them the time and they book it correctly. But that's a lot of ifs, and it's done. And in WWE land, ifs usually don't come true.
No.
So I mean, we'll see. If I hope Zelina still needs to stay with Andrade, because if you split them up, at least Garza can get himself over with a promo.
Yes, but like
Andrade,
Selena and Andrade is like is the package.
Andrade, he buries himself with his
The
promos. When he
only way
speaks
that I will
English,
see
it's like,
Selena
ooh.
without Andrade is if Charlotte is with him. That's the only. That's
Oh,
the only thing.
that would be legit if they did something like that. But see, know what? That would have been cool if they now this is like legit long-term booking. If Charlotte was still the NXT Women's Champion and she brings Andrade back down there, and then they feud with Candice and Johnny because
And that would be
Andrade
awesome.
because
Yeah.
Johnny never could beat Andrade. So
That
that
would
would be legit.
That would be awesome. See, that's great booking right there. But like for now, that's what we have, and that was it for this segment. So now we have to like the next segment is Bobby Lashley going with MVP. They're still upset, so they come out to the ring and they're like complaining about the situation that happened with McIntyre. So Lana comes out also, and Lana is talking to MVP. Is like, "Hey, I'm sorry, I'm a woman. Respect me. You know, I'm in the, with the microphone. I'm gonna say something." And he says, "Everything is happening because of you, MVP. You're the one that is destroying my marriage. You're destroying the relationship that I have with my Bobby." And he's like, "I put my career on the sidelines for Bobby's career." But in the end, Lashley ends up saying, "You know what? I want a divorce." I'm like,
And
"I'm
she was all
done."
like, so. And I
I'm
love how
done.
she was like I just love a little bit of the little like interactions they were throwing in between there. Like when she came out, MVP's like, "Be gone, thought," which thought is an acronym for that hoe over there,
Yeah.
THOT. So he called her a thought, and then she was like, "Oh, Lashley or Bobby." She's like, "Do you think I slept with you because you're famous?" She's like, "If that's the case, I would have slept with Drew." And you're like, you're pretty much admitting that she just sleeps around to get, to get ahead. No pun intended, but it's like
Yes.
that's what
Yes.
she does, and you're like, you just laugh at some of this stuff.
Yeah, so like this, like you said, is like a soap opera. Nobody really cares,
Yeah.
Like it's still like get her out of like there. I don't understand. I mean, I don't have anything against her, but like without Rusev, to me, like if she's not a wrestler, she's not a manager. So what is she doing there? You keep her for her looks, and that's all it is. So
Yeah,
I
I
don't
mean,
really
when
care.
when she was like, the ravishing Russian, and she was Rusev's wife, and Rusev was squashing people and getting over, you're like, okay. He's a monster, but he needs somebody with a little bit of intelligence to kind of manage him and whatever, and that's what she was. Now
Yes,
in this role, it's like, oh, like
yeah,
unbearable.
exactly. And it's been for what a year already with the story with
Hmm.
Lashley and all of that. So nobody really cares about. Another thing that nobody cares about, Jean Paul, is like
That's
the
a trend on
Vikings
Monday Night Raw.
profits. Yep. Yeah, you see how like it started out kind
Yep.
of decent and now it's going to absolute trash.
Hmm.
You see how like it rotten really quick.
Yep.
It got bad like really, really quick. The Viking profits. Okay, I thought they were going against each other. Now they're a team going against Akira Tozawa and the Ninjas and the Big Ninja. The Big Ninja, Jean Paul, for the ones is not Shaquille O'Neal. I thought it was Shaquille. No,
Yeah.
it's not. We knew it was. It's one of the NXT guys. It's one of the NXT guys.
Yeah. I actually saw a picture of him with Kevin Nash and Scott Hall.
Yeah,
And I mean,
exactly.
they look like when you and I stand next to each other, like
Yeah.
you'll be Scott Hall and I'll be the Big Ninja. That's like,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
Scott
oh yeah,
Hall's,
yeah. It is. It looks really bad. Yes, but so like they have this type of match, and also they have the return of somebody that we actually I don't know why he's needed, but we had the Big Show. The Big Show comes back. It's the Big Show, but why? I don't
well,
understand
it's
why.
the order.
Yeah,
That's what
I
he should
didn't.
do. Then I'd be like, okay, Big Show. Why did they do it? They probably were like I said to you, they probably think he's still a pop. They probably think he's still a draw. Like when people see the Big Show, they're gonna be throwing their popcorn, like, oh my god.
And I really
I
don't
can't
think
I
so.
can't tell you the last time that when I saw the Big Show, I was like, oh, this is legit. I think honestly, the last time I cared a little bit when it was him versus Braun Strowman because I wanted him to beat Braun Strowman because I was like,
Yes,
fuck Braun Strowman.
yes. That's probably the last time that when they had those series of matches. But other than that, I don't see
Yeah,
why
I
the
mean, I
Big Show
guess they
would be.
had him to like kind of counterbalance the big ninja,
Yeah,
but like, I mean, obviously the guy's not going to get over in this garbage storyline. But why would you want this dude who's seven? I think he's 7'3" or 7'4".
yeah.
Why would you want this giant dude who Vince McMahon is probably blowing a load in his pants over? Let's be honest here. Let's call it how it is. He loves guys who are big and tall and everything else. Why would you have this guy get like, I mean, he didn't get pinned or beat or anything, but it's like, you present this guy like a loser and it's like, here's the Big Show. And like everything about this
This whole
whole
thing is
tag team
not
division
needed
is
at all.
awful.
This
Yeah,
whole
just
thing is
throw
not
it all in
needed
the
at all.
trash. And then Tozawa, again, he's like,
Or for some people that think that it's Kushida, for some
yeah,
people that like they think it's Kushida, it's Tozawa. It's I
yeah,
much
and
rather
it's,
see him when
yeah,
he's like wrestling rather than this crap.
yeah, I
And
just,
in the end, Street the Viking profits everybody with the Big Show. They get the win. And he got to do the choke slam. He did the KO punch. All of that.
mm,
Completely uneventful, completely irrelevant.
yep,
And now we go to the Monday Night Raw Messiah, and that's Seth Rollins. He had like a another via satellite thing with Rey Mysterio, because like there was the thought that Dominic was in the building, and he's saying, hey, you know, Murphy and Austin Theory are looking for him, so they're gonna find him. And if he's not going to be with me, if he's not going to be part of the solution, he's going to be part of the problem. So we need another sacrificial lamb, and that's what we're going to treat him as. So Mysterio is like, if you touch my son, you know, I will come next week and it's going to be done. So you make sure you don't do anything to him. But they keep going back and forth in this situation. It's like, no. If he says he's good, we will be part of the solution, so we will be fine. But if not, you know, we will make an example out of him. But while he's saying that, Jean-Paul, he probably popped, because I know him. Dominic comes from the back, and then he starts attacking Seth Rollins. And you see Murphy and Theory kind of like going around the ring, kind of like trying to like block him. But then somehow he avoids both of the hits. Dominic is pretty fast. And then he kind of goes out, and then he goes through the crowd, so a little bit of the crowd. So a really good segment. I really enjoy it. And I think Dominic is going to be a big star in WWE.
Yeah, I like this feud. You know, everything Rey Mysterio did for WWE, he was always legit. Anything they told him, like, oh, this is a bullshit storyline, you know, he was never one to cause a fuss. He always did it. And they respect that. So they're going to take care of his kid when it's his time to wrestle. But I really like this feud. This is the other feud I like on Monday Night Raw, because it's kind of slow building and it's organic. It's not really like forced and pushed, and it moves forward a little bit each week. And I actually like Seth Rollins in this role. I think he's like a good heel. He plays this character really well. Rey Mysterio is obviously like always a really good baby face. And I think this is going to lead to some kind of match at Extreme Rules, because you see the gouging of the eyes and all this kind of extreme stuff, you could say. I don't know if they're going to do a tag match. I don't know what they're going to do, but I think we're kind of going to get some answer next week when Mysterio shows up.
Yes, absolutely, and I'm really looking forward to that. Like you said, I really love like how like every week there's a little bit else, else. You know, here's like a little bit more sprinkles in it, a little bit of like,
yeah.
You know,
the only thing I don't really care for is like when Aleister Black and Humberto just randomly show up and insert themselves in the feud. But I honestly feel that's because they were like, well, both these guys are legit wrestlers, but we don't really have anything going for
Let's give him something to do. Give him something to do. So that was the situation, but really cool on that. So now, Jean-Paul, we get another segment, because, of course, like they need to have like 10,000 segments in this freaking show. And this is R-Truth and Drew McIntyre talking to MVP and Bobby Lashley. And pretty much the heels convince Truth and McIntyre to put the titles on the line. You know, because they're like, oh, like you want to make this like more spicy, you want to make this better. Let's do it for like your 24/7 championship and your WWE championship.
Yeah, wasn't it something like, oh, like if you're like a legit champion and you're gonna honor us, and like if you have any respect for us, blah blah blah. So they pretty much just called out, like you said, called out Drew. And as soon as this was all going on and everything, I was like, there's no way he's losing the title here.
Yeah, no.
And in this kind of goofy match, if Drew is gonna lose it, he's going to lose it in a legit one-on-one, like no funny, just a legit match. Yeah. So you knew it was safe, but also in the back of your mind, like you said, you know, WWE is sometimes they're like, you know what? Screw the fans. We're going to do the bullshit anyway. But, you know, it was like a thing. Do we really care, though? Do we care to see, you know, these guys kind of go at it? Not really.
No, not really. No, something that we didn't even really care about. It was like the next segment, Jean-Paul, and that's like the Iconics. I mean, like, we enjoy the going against somebody that we do care. We really love is Liv Morgan. It's tagging with Natalya, but it was really simple, like 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much it was to get the Iconics over, and they did their finisher, like that, the double move that they do. And like actually they called out Bayley and Sasha, saying that they want an opportunity, and they want an opportunity next week. Saying that, hey, we know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that is a cousin of somebody, and then they're brothers and siblings with each other or whatever, and then they're going to get in the championship match. So, I mean, good for the Iconics that they get a win, and I really like that double move that they do. That way, you know, what do we say? They look like a tag team.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the Iconics were always like a tag. They were probably one of the first female tag teams that kind of really you'd be like, oh, they're like a duo. It's like the two of them come as like a package deal. But they just weren't that great of wrestlers, and then WWE kind of didn't know what to do with them. I think when they first were on the main roster, they were like going against Charlotte and stuff, and it's like, how does that get you over? Because Charlotte's never going to lose.
Yes.
So now this kind of like they were away from TV for a while. They came back. They've been in legit, feuds in the sense that it's like they're always in the hunt for the tag team titles and stuff. They're cutting promos, the one thing they're pretty good at. So they're definitely getting a better chance this time around. And, you might be like, oh, well, why does everybody get a title shot every week for these tag titles? It's like, that I can't answer. The only thing I can say is maybe because there's only 3 legit tag teams for the women, and they don't know what
that's all there is to it. Yeah, that's all there is to it. So now, Jean-Paul, we get Christian. He's talking to the Big Show, and the Big Show's, man, you don't need to do this. And you see Christian kind of putting the tape. Is like, hey, you haven't wrestled in, for a lot of years, many years. You haven't.
I think it was 6. I think they said 6 years.
There you go. You haven't wrestled in 6 years, so you don't need to do this. It's like Randy is he's a cold. He's gonna take care of you. He's gonna eliminate. He's gonna destroy you because he's fresh. He's been doing this. He was just doing that in storyline mode, yesterday, or you need to don't do this. You need to back out from it. I was like, no, I got it.
And was this segment, was that when they had the 2K19 poster in the background? Because they're not hanging up a 2K20 poster.
Yep, it's like Jean-Paul goes this bullshit when they don't even they know. Yeah. They know. So another thing that they know is bullshit.
Or maybe it's because Becky Lynch and Roman Reigns both aren't on TV, and they're the ones who are on the cover.
That's also true though. But both things is absolutely true. And good thing that they have 19 because that's at least the last game that it was playable.
Yeah.
So they had Lana coming out to see Natalya because Natalya went to Liv Morgan. Is you made a lot of rookie mistakes, and because of that we lost.
Yeah, here we go. Natalya, I think she was a heel 3 weeks ago, and then 2 weeks ago she was face. Now she's heel again. So okay, she's on Big Show level.
So they tease something with Natalya and Lana because both of them is it's done. And 2020 is garbage. It's a bad year. So they probably gonna start tagging. There's something like that. It seemed they gave us.
Yeah, I mean Natalya. All jokes aside, with her bullshit storyline she's in, she helped train Ronda Rousey, so she's a good wrestler. She can help train Lana. If Lana legit wants to get better, put them together in some kind of on TV, but then behind the scenes have Natalya train Lana. I'm not saying Lana needs to be the next Bailey or Sasha Banks, but have her get a little bit of skill so when we watch her in the ring, we're not changing the channel.
Yes, and also that would be a great idea. So we have another problem. MVP walking to Apollo, and he's saying that, hey, if you want his help, hey, you're already the champ. I can take you to the next level. You can be a world champ. So hey, I'm here. So you see MVP kind of has this role of an active performer, and also he wants to be a manager. He wants to get his old staple, Lashley, Apollo, and him. So he's trying to increase that. He wants to be the MVP brand, the Rover Stone, that unfortunately doesn't have anybody. And then Jean-Paul, we get Charlotte and Ric Flair. And Rick is like, hey, who are you going to be up next? Who are you going to go against? Hey, you has all these accolades. What's next for you? He's like, don't worry, Dad, I got it. I'm the best of all time. I'm way better than you. And then he goes, woo, to the own father. So, I mean, a lot of promos. I don't know what it really makes.
Yeah, there were so many segments in this show tonight. There was probably at least 20 segments.
Yes. So Jean-Paul is absolutely right. We get a match with the United States champion Apollo, he was just a few seconds ago with us, and he has a match with Shelton Benjamin. Benjamin, like Jean-Paul said, great wrestler. Don't really care about him. I don't know why they hate the guy.
He's a guy who should. He could go in the independent scene or even a TNA, whatever.
And he would be main event.
And he would be legit, main event legit.
Main event guy. So he has a match with Apollo, really decent match, but also really quick. And Apollo actually wins with dirty tactics.
Yeah, because I think Shelton tried to roll him up or something, and he had the ropes, and then or his foot on the ropes or something. And the ref was like, you're bullshit. And then, like you said, later on, Apollo kind of had him rolled up, and it was a 1 count, a 2 count, and then he hooked the ropes with his other arm to get the extra leverage, and he pinned him. And it was kind of ha ha ha, you tried to cheat me, and look, it backfired, and I cheated you. I don't really see it as a heel turn. It's more just a ha ha, whatever.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't mean anything. This match was 4 or 5 minutes. It literally means nothing. I would have rather given this to the main event, which was 2 minutes long, but hey.
But why would you do that, right? Saying, exactly right. So we got a promo from Asuka. There was a lot of promos of the Viking Prophets going with the ninjas, and we're not going to talk about that. That doesn't make any single sense. No. McIntyre with R-Truth going again for the same thing. We're not going to talk about that. What we are going to talk about that is Asuka going to Nia Jax. So Charlie asked her, "Are you ready for this? The match was last night, and are you ready for the next match?" are you prepared for this? And Asuka, of course, was answering in Japanese. So it might have said that, like, she's ready. So I don't really know about that. But, like, she had, like, a good promo, meaning, like, the energy of Asuka, the intensity where she delivers the promo is great.
Yeah,
So,
but how come she can do it? And then with Andrade, they're like, no.
yeah, and that's exactly, like, what I think. See, because, like, his energy will be a lot better. Because, you know, you can clearly hear that, like, he's thinking about how he's going to say everything. And I can tell you, like, it is when you learn a different language, you gotta learn how to get excited in that language and forget how you get excited in your own. So I can see why, because he seems, I'm saying it right, but do I feel it? No.
Yeah, it sounds robotic. But then again, his fiance sounds pretty robotic too.
Yeah, well, I mean, but then she needs to learn how to feel it because, like, I hope that you don't disappoint. Oh, okay, I said it right. So you know what I mean? But anyway. Yeah. Drew McIntyre, Mr. Egg with R-Truth against MVP Bobby Lashley. We knew that this wasn't going to be, you know, like you said, there's not going to be any tricks here. And in the end, McIntyre and R-Truth win. I really like when he did a Future Shock. And that's a really legit move. And of course, like, McIntyre.
And this was, I mean, it was like you said, I mean, well, yeah, he'll finish it up and then
Yeah, well, they don't Claymore kick. And then I thought that, like, you know, he didn't cover right away. He didn't pin him. So he's like, what do I do? And then Truth is like, let me dive. And I'm like, okay, that might be a mistake. They might pull the swerve. I'm like, And then, like, actually, like, he gave the tag. He did the dive. 1, 2, 3. It's all good because MVP was the one that got pinned and not Bobby Lashley. So kind of like they keep the heel good. But I was like, okay, this is why is this on? You know?
But see, when he did that and R-Truth got the pin, I was waiting for R-Truth to grab the WWE Championship and be like, I thought you said it's winner take all.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that to be like, then maybe next week they do R-Truth versus, you know, just because they don't know how to book. And they're like, we could do R-Truth versus McIntyre. Why not? But, you know, they both hold their respective titles. The ref holds up their arms. It's and it's, okay, now what? Does Bobby Lashley and R-Truth move, or not R-Truth, MVP move on? Does this feud continue? What's the point?
Well, we'll see next week because, like you said, that's at least they leave that open-ended. Because, you know, we know that, like you said, for example, Randy Orton might be the potential challenger, which will be good, or they keep it with Bobby. So we'll see what happens on that. Nature Boy Ric Flair, another segment with him. Even Nature Boy has, like, so many segments in this show. Come on, people. You know, what the hell?
They're trying to get viewers.
You already see Bruce Prichard all over. Randy, Nature Boy saying, like, hey, you don't need to do this, man. Again, you've been away for way too long. You don't need to do this. Randy's going to kill you. Don't do this. I already talked to Edge. He said, you don't need to do this. And I'm like, no, I'll do it, Rick. You know, I appreciate it. I respect you, but, you know, F off. You know, hell out of here. So we go now to Sasha Banks and Bayley. It was Bayley's birthday. So everybody's like, happy birthday, Bayley. Yeah, Bayley, 2 straps, or those straps. So, like, she's, like, kind of celebrating with Sasha. But right away, they're kind of hyping their match with, like, Shotzi and Tegan Knox that is going to be on NXT on Wednesday. We will be covering that, of course. And kind of, like, they're talking about this, and they're saying that, hey, they're the best tag team that there is. They're 2 times champions. But then the Iconics come out. The Iconics come out, and they said, hey, you know, like, we really... You just saw what we did. And that's what happens when it's like there's 2 teams and not 3 teams. So it's like, we won a match, and they start offending. They start saying, remember that the one time that you lost those titles, it was us who won it. And then you guys were, like, crying backstage. They were, like, throwing a hissy fit. And, you know, it was because of us. So then,
like, when Sasha, I think she, like, mouths off and they slap her. And then I love Bayley throws, like, a temper tantrum. She's like, it's my birthday. You can't do this. You're ruining my party.
Yes. Yeah, so it was like, cool. And they said, you know what? You got it. So next week, we're going to have a championship match. But the one thing is, like, don't you have to defend the titles first on Wednesday? It's like, you know, if we win, it will have to be set, you know?
Which, like I said, I mean, it would have been cool to maybe see Shotzi and Tegan win. But I don't know. You feel like you knew that Bayley and Sasha were going to retain. And I think because Sasha kind of gave Bayley a look when she was like, yeah, we accept your challenge. She's like, what? Like, why are you just accepting all these challenges? So this is just going to be another added element onto
the feud
storyline. It adds to the friction. Again, I don't see them losing it Wednesday. If anything, I could see them losing Monday.
Yeah. Yeah, and then hopefully Alexa and Nikki, that will be our chance. and then that will be Tegan. But I'm rooting for Tegan. Hopefully she pulls the upset, and then Shotzi. I'm fine with that. And then Alexa and Nikki. That's the best feud of all time. Now.
Oh my God, no!
That's the best feud of all.
Yeah, get out of here!
Greatest match of all time. But we're not going to go in depth on that, Jean Paul, because we have Asuka and Nia Jax for the Raw Women's Championship, and then we're going to be talking about this. At least this match happened to be for me a lot better.
Yeah, I was going to say the same thing. I like this match more than Backlash. Of course, there was a spot where Nia Jax looked like she was taking a little bit of liberty, and Asuka actually did tweet about it. I'm talking about the power bomb on the outside. Asuka, she was like, yeah, she's like, that hurt, but she's like, I'm Asuka tough. She's like, my insides are fine, and she's like, I could handle much more than that, because her English is, her English is a little bit funny even when tweeting and stuff, but rough translation, she was like, yeah, I'm tougher than, Nia thinks, blah, 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 but I mean, you see that power bomb, and it wasn't,
well, we've said many times,
that was like an ECW power bomb.
The entire wrestling community say that, like, she's reckless.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't care. Like she and then on social media, a lot of people say, don't be mean. I'm sorry, don't be mean to her. Be nice. She is already having some kind of issues. I'm like, but if she's not gonna take care of the person you're working with.
Yeah, this is what you need to do. And again, calling back to how I like when things were done back in the day. If you get a wrestler who takes liberties like this with people, like, oh yeah, this is when you put her in a match. Okay, Nia, next week you're gonna be against Shayna Baszler. And then you have Shayna be fucking stiff, lay them potatoes into her, whack, whack, whack. Then Nia will probably start being nicer to people.
Choke her out, yeah, teach her.
But I mean, legit. I mean, I'm not saying like break her bones or, harm her in that kind of way. But
rough.
Yeah, but you want Nia to be like, oh shit, like I better stop, because next time she might actually break something.
Yes, exactly. So I agree with you. I don't know why they don't even address her. Just be like, hey, can you not be like this reckless? Can you just take care of your person that you're working with a little better? Because actually more people are going to want to work with you rather than everybody backs out when you're around. So I'm just have to say that. But like you said, it was a better match. Like the power bombs, I like the spot that Nia was also caught up on the rope on the turnbuckle, and then Asuka kind of like did.
Oh yeah, she kicked her leg and
she kicked her leg. That was cool. So that was fine. And then
how much could I love John Cone.
Oh yeah.
That was so legit, the ending of this match.
It was good because, Nia did the Samoan drop, but, Asuka's foot was, over the rope.
Yeah, it was, it was, underneath.
Under the rope. So, it's like, hey, I'm not going to count. It's right there. So it's like, no, Rab, because what the hell? And then Asuka used that opportunity to roll her up. And then he kind of count.
Yeah, really and what did we say? We said they're supposed to start respecting the refs and respecting their authority. So she was like, oh, you're bullshit. She shoved him. He stood up, and he's like, I don't think so, bitch. He is like, he was almost going to disqualify her. He was looking towards the ring. Yeah. The guy rings the bell, and he was like, oh, blah, blah, blah.
I'm sorry, but then it's like, okay. Asuka rolls her up right away.
Yep, and he was like, done.
So, Asuka retains. Legit, they should have done this on Backlash. I would have been.
This should have been the match at Backlash, because we didn't. I was expecting Charlotte to come out. We saw her at the show. She didn't come out and inject herself in the match. So I'm like, what was really the whole point of the rematch?
Yes.
Again, you could have gave Christian a legit match if you would have not had this rematch and not had the bullshit 5-minute Shelton Benjamin match.
Yes. Yeah.
No. Put all this on the main event. Had a legit match with Christian.
Way too many stories, and like John Paul always says, it should have been a 2-hour show. It will be a lot easier to follow through, through the show also. But, we're talking about the main event, Christian going against Randy Orton with an unsanctioned match. I see the clock is already 10:50, so I'm like, this is not going to be long.
And Christian came out. He was wearing the exact same clothes I am.
Street clothes, just tape. So, he's like, okay, we're going to see what he's able to do. Nature Boy comes out another time, once again. So 3 times, 3 segments in one show. And before Christian can do anything, he gets low blow. He gets low blow by him, so he's set up for the punt again. So what? And the punt, and I can barely picture it, because I just saw he didn't even hit. I can see how Christian avoided the whole thing, but the angle just showed kind of supposing he connected. He didn't connect it at all.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the one thing I will say. If his neck is legit, it's still kind of done. And this is just a throwaway angle, one night, whatever. I mean, I'd rather have him play it safe
Yeah.
than play it Nia Jax, and then Christian's like, so I can't walk anymore.
Yeah,
You
so
know,
like,
and it's like, okay,
yeah, so like, oh, thanks, Randy Orton. Yeah, you're legit, like, you know, like
yeah,
you
you
legit
are the
saved
legend
my life.
killer.
Yeah, you are the legend killer. Yeah, or the neck breaker, or whatever.
Yeah.
That is true. And then of course Randy Orton wins. That was like really simple, but then the aftermath was kind of cool because they were grabbing the stretcher, they were putting him on it, and it's like, hey, you don't take care of him. It's like, Christian, I did this because you wanted it. You
Yeah,
were the one.
I love Randy Orton. He like the reason I really like this feud is because it seems real. As in,
Yes.
there's like inner struggle with Randy.
Yeah.
Sometimes he's like, you know, I love you. You're legit. Whether he's talking, because he even said to Christian kind of the same things he said to
We
Edge.
go way back.
Yeah, he's like, you and I, like, we're both legit. We're friends. You know, like it's all good. And then he, like, as he's slowly talking, he's like, but you did this to yourself. You're at fault. I'm not the bad guy. You are. Blah. Like, you can tell there's something going on in his head. And I
Yep.
saw somebody say this, and they said the two best heels right now in wrestling are Randy Orton and MJF. And
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with that.
Because
Randy
they
Orton has
make
been
him
on a
feel
roll.
legit. And you know, Randy Orton is the worst babyface ever, but he's the best heel, you know, when he wants to be, because every single time that they tell him you gotta tell a story, he does it. Remember with Jeff Hardy when he
Yep.
put like the
The
screwdriver?
screwdriver, yep.
Yeah, like I mean, like, but you see how calculated he is, how mean, how, you know, despicable he can be, how obnoxious,
Yeah,
and everything.
and even like the cover he did on Christian, like he punted him, and Christian was done. I mean, Christian sold that beautifully. He was like laying, like his neck was twisted, and he kind of had his mouth open. He looked done. And then Randy like slowly flipped him and just kind of slowly laid his arms on. It was just the way he did it. Like he could have went to the quick cover 1, 2, 3, and it would have. But the way he did it, like that's what I mean. He knows
And
how to
see,
tell a
Randy Orton
story.
teaches you that the pace yourself. Like the thing that like we've talked about in a lot of our interviews, less is more. And
Yep.
see, that's why Randy Orton applies that at the fullest, and that's what happens. So Jean Paul, this pretty much sums it up for Monday Night Raw. I think it was a pretty, like I would say, like having half, 50-50. I will even give it like 40 legit and 60 bad.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I mean, I would probably go a little bit less. I don't know, 30-70. That might be too low. 35-65 maybe. But I mean, between Seth Rollins and all that with Rey Mysterio, Randy Orton, Edge, Christian, all that stuff. To me, that's the legit stuff that's going on. I'm a little bit interested in the women's tag team stuff because I do like Bayley, I do like Sasha. I don't hate the Iconics, you know, and, you know, going on to NXT for that match, I'm excited for. I love, obviously, everything on NXT.
And let's say I love Tegan, so that's it. Yep.
But, I mean, everything else, it's like just so hard to get through, especially the men's tag team stuff. And it's like Kevin Owens, Andrade, all these guys in the mid-card are just floating in a pile of shit. Like, they don't know what to do.
So we'll see next week if it gets better, which we know it's not going to get better because now it's like you said, it's going to be more Spurs Preacher under Vince McMahon. So we'll see what happens. But after that, Jean Paul, where people can find us in the social media world. If you would.
Well, I'm going to say because I know you're all excited to hear us complain next week about, you know, how bad these shows have taken a turn for a worse. So
yes,
if you
sir.
want to see those reviews, and if you want to see any news about how bad these shows are going to be, you can follow us on the social medias of Facebook and Instagram, The Original Rope Break, Twitter, The OG Rope Break, and YouTube, and also Podbean, The OG Rope Break.
That's right. We're on Podbean now, so you know if people don't want to see our beautiful faces, they just want to hear our beautiful voices. If you want to see the Andrade's accent, you know, right there, you can go and like check that out. So family, you know, there's only one more thing that Jean Paul and I have to say, and that is